We are here live inside of Lobtown. Auburn gets the close victory, 70-68, surviving another road test in the SEC without Janai Broome again. Auburn 70-68 in this game. Come on inside of Lobtown. Let's talk about it here. Make sure you share the video with somebody. Man, this was a nail biter. Literally, I was sitting here biting my nails at the end of that game. Good game from Auburn to get the win on the road. Again, you're not going to blow out every team. This is a good Georgia team. This was going to be a physical game. Auburn did a good job of not fouling a bunch in this game, and I felt like the officiating was decent for the most part. So, man, but let me give props out the gate to two players in particular. First, I'm going to start with the guy who had total of, let me make sure I get this right for my boy, 24 points in the game on 7 of 13 shooting, 5 3-pointers in this game. Tahad Pettiford, 24 points. In a game where, honestly, Denver Jones didn't play well, right? Denver Jones didn't play well for you. You needed your freshman to step up, and he did it. And he did his thing out there on the road. Great game from Tahad Pettiford. The other guy I got to give props to is Jaheim Hudson. Now, his stats aren't going to blow you out the water when I start reading them off, but he played such a crucial game with Dylan Cardwell only able to give you 22 minutes in a game where you really want Dylan to be above 25. But Jaheim Hudson, only 5 points, 2 of 3 shooting, 3 big rebounds, and 3 fouls that, listen, you take that from him. I think one of them was kind of a little tacky call, but in 18 minutes, he did an absolutely amazing job of giving you supplemental big man minutes there, setting solid screens, playing good defense, causing more turnovers than what will show on the box score. Really great minutes from Jaheim Hudson in this one. But then second half, you get the performance for Chad Baker-Mazar, who had a rough first half in the game. He came out second half giving you some big buckets. He ends up with 13 points. Miles Kelly with another 13-point game in this one. But this is the kind of games that you have to be able to win, guys. You got a tough Georgia team who was undefeated to this point at home. You go into their building with a 2-point win. This is what happens in college basketball, and these are the things that a number one team has to be able to do. That was an absolutely wonderful closing to the game. Well, not wonderful, but it was a good job of Auburn weathering the storm of Georgia there in the second half. On the game, Auburn only shot 39% in this game. Terrible shooting game from Auburn overall. 24 of 61 field goals there. 60% from the free throw line. Not good. You shot well from 3, 43%. That was your saving grace in this one, but you just didn't shoot a really good percentage in this game, and that's the reason this game ends up being this close. Rebounding wise, Auburn got the rebounding edge by 1 board. 3 more offensive boards than Georgia in this game. Second chance points, Auburn 9 to Georgia's 8. Points off the bench really is the story for this one. 32 big bench points, most of those coming from Tahad Pettiford and Jaheim Hudson. In fact, 29 of those coming from those 2 young men, with Ja'Kai Howard putting in the other 3. But 32 bench points to Georgia's only 15. 15 points off the bench for Georgia. That's a big story in this game. Auburn did a really good job of just kind of weathering the storm of what was going on out there. If you guys are out here in the chat and you haven't shared the content with somebody, please go ahead and hit the share button on this. I want to hear all of you all's thoughts. I got plenty of thoughts I can give you, but I want to hear you all's thoughts. So I'm going to go over here to the chat and see what you all are talking about, because that is it's a good win. A good win. Let's see here. James Barnett says 2-0, Ike. 3 more to go. Y'all with me? Tennessee's going to be a tough game. I think if you get the Tennessee game, you have a good opportunity to get to that 5-0 in those last games. Let's look at the last 3 here again. And you may get Janai Broome back in this next game, guys. You might get him back. But the question is, what's going on with Dylan Cardwell? And can they get him ready? They got a whole week off. until next Saturday before they play Tennessee. So you got a whole week to get Dylan back right. You got a week to get Janai back into being able to give you something before you play Tennessee next weekend. So you will be at LSU, which is a tough but winnable game, and then you will be at Ole Miss. That's going to be a tough game as well inside of Ole Miss's building. So I'm not ready to go there yet. I still think 3-2 is probably the best scenario for you. I mean, the least scenario for you, but we'll see what happens there. The officiating was trash in the end of the game. I mean, what was the bad officiating though? Like the ball was out on Cheney Johnson at the end. They still had the time left. Like what calls do you think they missed at the end of the game? That's my question. I think the officiating was decent for the vast majority of that game. Ben Bloodworth says that was a stupid ending, but we survived. I think the dumb thing, or the thing that was frustrating for me, was the Miles Kelly turnover there, right? He gets trapped there in the corner. And if I'm not mistaken, did Auburn still have one timeout left at that point in time, or had they used their final timeout? If they still had a timeout left, that's where I'm just like, yeah, why don't you call a timeout right there? I have to go. I don't know. Somebody can correct me on that. But I would have rather Miles turn and just chuck the ball as far up and as far out as he could to waste as much time to get it to the other end of the floor than him try to get the ball to somebody out of that corner trap. So let's see here. Ant Robinson says that we will be number 2 tomorrow. Why would they drop in the rankings winning a road conference game? Who should be number 1 if not Auburn, who only has 1 loss on the season, and the only other 1-loss team, unless Iowa State lost, is Iowa State, who you beat. So why is Auburn dropping in the rankings after this? Let's see. Teresa says the refs tried hard to give it to Georgia. That was a rough one at the end. I agree. Have to hit free throws at the end to avoid these scenarios? Yes, I agree with this wholeheartedly. Tahai Pettiford missed one down at the end. Denver Jones missed one down at the end. You win this game by 3. You get 2 more points on there. You're not sweating that last 0.6. You're not. You win. Excuse me. You won by 2. If you get 2 more points, you're not sweating that last 0.6. It just doesn't matter. Like they can inbound the ball. You might as well not even guard anybody on that last 0.6. You walk away and let them do whatever they want to. If they make it, who cares? Because it's going to take that amount of time for them to inbound and get a shot up, right? So, and Asa Newell pushed off on that last shot, by the way. He pushed off to try to get that inbound. I'm glad he left it short. Let's see here. That game was drunk. Auburn came in looking a little tipsy early in this game. They missed a lot of shots they normally make. I don't know what was happening with that. They started the clock late. Oh, okay. Well, that's not on the officials necessarily. That's on the clock operator. Now the officials have a chance to get that right, but still. You guys are really going hard on the refs, man. I don't think this was a poorly officiated game. I don't know. Like y'all give me the examples of like, man, remember when they did this? Main asks, is Tahad a freshman? He absolutely is, but that boy got ice water in them veins. Minus the free throws. Like I said, the free throws is the only thing you can really knock on him. In this game, he was 5 of 8 from the free throw line. So 3 missed free throws, and that's not good. Again, Auburn as a team only shot 60% from the free throw line in this game. Excuse me, in this game. So you got to do better than that. Ken says Dylan got pushed on that last inbounds 100%. I agree with that. 5-0 in the SEC. Bottom line, point blank period. You won the game. 5-0 in the SEC. Absolutely great place to be in. Fellas, Auburn shot horrible and still pulled it. 2-0, 3 more left. Again, I don't even know if Janai is going to be out all 5 of these games. That was just my thought process. If he might miss 5 games at the most, he may only miss 2, right? Like I think he could be ready by Tennessee. So we'll see. Michael says, great win for Auburn. I agree. It's a great win. TZ says, announcer said it's cramps, but who knows? It looked like cramps, but like he was having cramps in the last game. So like, why was he cramping 3 days ago and he still has cramps now? Like what's going on with his hydration and conditioning right now? Asa Newell got away with the push. I see y'all talking about that. Is UGA a quad one this year? Yes. Any team, I think, that's in the top 50, something like that. And then you get a little bit more if they're on the road, but they are a top 23 team on the road. That absolutely was another quad one win. Yep. Jamal Pye says Cheney is too inconsistent. Cardwell stepped up, Hudson stepped up, and I think CBM was pissed because Bruce took him out when he was on fire. Yeah, I don't know why they took him out at that point in time in the game. Like I was confused by that myself. But hey, listen, they won the game. Keep it pushing. Ant says Iowa State. I'm not saying that they're better only because of the victory margin. Nah, I don't think you can. If Auburn wasn't going to be the number one team all that time because you couldn't move the number one team down because they kept winning, then you can't. A road win in the SEC versus a top 25 team, regardless of what the margin is a good win. I will be shocked and very upset if Auburn won 2 games to stay number one without the best player in the country and they drop in the that would be criminal. That's criminal if that happens. Let's see here. What else do we have out here? Brad says, but Auburn has the head-to-head against them too. No chance of a jump. Yeah, I don't think that like you will see me get on screen and probably berate the system that would make that happen. Like I will get on camera and lose all my bro. If that happens, that's it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't care if you win by 2 on the road versus a top 25 team minus your best player. You do not drop that team from number 1 in the country. You're finding ways to win games without a consensus guy who was leading for player of the year on the road versus a top 25 team who hadn't lost at home this season. Nah, bro, I'm going nuclear. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm coming on here and I'm losing it. So, yeah, no. Appreciate the gifted memberships here from Jazzy Joe. 20 more so people can do. Yo, so like for my folks in the green name here, you know what I'm saying? How do y'all like in the watch parties? Like, what do y'all like? You can maybe I'll put a little thing up in the as a poll or something to talk about how we can make that watch party experience better, different, whatever. But y'all tell me how y'all are liking those. I'll put like a little something in the community about it. But appreciate you, Jazzy, for getting more people involved here with the Green Name Gang. Ben Bloodworth says, so we had 10 quad wins already. That's wild. Let's take a look at the big board. The Auburn Tigers are now in quad 1 wins, 9-1. Oh, they haven't updated this. So 10-1. Yeah, 10-1 in quad 1 wins so far this year. Absolutely crazy good stuff. Everybody saying they're loving the watch parties. That's what's up. Yeah, 10 quad 1 wins is amazing. Yeah, so other things to talk about in this game. You know, I'm going to talk about the guys who played well. I have mentioned it, but I have to talk about guys who didn't play so well in this game. Denver Jones. Denver Jones was not good in this game. 8 points on 3 of 8 shooting, 1 of 4 from the 3-point line, 0 assists and 3 turnovers. Starting point guard, no assists and 3 turnovers. It's not good in 27 minutes. It's just there's no way to sugarcoat that. On the offensive end, I think he played well defensively. The offensive end, he just didn't seem like he had it. Like it just felt like he was sloppy with his ball handling. The passes weren't very crisp. Like the one lob that he threw to Cheney in the open floor, I think he overshot that pass to Cheney. Cheney has an easy dunk if you throw, because Cheney can jump out the gym, right? You just throw it to him in a way where he can go get it. It's an easy. I just did not feel like Denver Jones played a very good game at all in this one. Cheney had a rough game. I think offensively, Cheney was he's used to being able to put that shoulder into guys and getting a little space. They weren't giving up that space. Again, Georgia is a team that's very physical. They were not giving up that space to Cheney, and he was forcing some bad looks out of that. I think he needs to work on, like, okay, if they're not giving me this turnaround space, then what else do I go to? The fadeaway wasn't working against that length. So Auburn's either going to have to do a better job of getting good switches for Cheney on those duck downs, so he's going up against shorter guys, or he needs to find a way to like finish over the shoulder, a la Janai Broom, a la what Jay Will used to do all the time, the little baby hook stuff. So your body creates the space as opposed to him trying to turn and elevate over the top of guys. He needs to let his body create the space. Did not have a good offensive performance there from Cheney Johnson. Only 2 points, 1 of 9. He had 6 boards, but I don't feel like he played great in this one. Everybody else, I think, played pretty well. Chad, had an uneven game offensively. He missed some shots he probably should make, but he made up for it in the second half of that game. Dylan was gutsy, 7 boards in this game. Liked what he did out there. Again, I talked about Hudson. Simo didn't really do anything stat-wise. He had 2 boards, but I feel like he had quality minutes when he came in. Miles Kelly, I think, was solid the entire game. So really, outside of Denver and Cheney, everybody else, I think, did what they needed to do. But this is why this is the best team in the country, is you have guys who are struggling, who typically are guys that you're counting on to give you stuff, and they're not doing it. Dylan's not 100%. Cheney's not really giving you much on offense. Denver's not giving you much on offense and turning the ball over. You get 24 from Tahai Pettiford, right? You get Chad giving you kind of a consistent, but it's first half, he wasn't giving you a lot. You still got a 6-point lead going into, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why they're the number 1 team in the country. That's why. So yeah. Let's see here. What else do we got? Ben says 3 wins from a 20-win season. We're not even in February. Wonderful place to be in. Let's see. Brandon Carter says, he did Broham on Cheney. Ken Willis says, makes you wonder how comfortable Denver was with what he was asked to do, thinking ahead of just playing. I mean, he's been asked to do the same thing this game as he's been asked in his other games. I don't know what was going on with Denver today. Lisa Wise says she loves to watch parties, miss some when at the games in Auburn, get the game reaction riding back to Troy occasionally. Dope. Appreciate that. Brad says, somebody explain how Kane had those rebounds in the middle of all those big dudes. I actually belly laughed watching that. The first one was an air ball and it just fell to him. The second one, the ball bounced around to a bunch of people, and then again, it just kind of fell to him. He was outworking people, but he started to heat up a little bit and they shut his water off. That's what this team is able to do. They're like, all right, so you're the guy who's making the shots. Let me shut your water, especially if it's a guard. It's been difficult for guards to get off against Auburn. Now, big men have been getting off, but it's been difficult for guards to get off against Auburn this year because they've been throw so many good defensive wings at them to slow down what they're doing. So good job there defensively to make sure he didn't go crazy. Let's see here. Don says Cheney has got to fix that reach in. I like Cheney got some. I think the issue for Cheney is, and he did this well versus Mississippi State, is he's got to stop playing with his athleticism and play with his mind more. Meaning, remember what you're coached to do. Second off the floor. Remember that you're faster than a lot of dudes. You can move your feet to get in front. You don't have to try to use your arms and length. Like he played, and this was to the point earlier of his inconsistency. Some games he's playing where he seems like he's moving fluidly and he's doing all the stuff he needs to do, and in other games he just seems like he's kind of back into D2 early Cheney mode. And so kind of he had good moments in this game too. Like he came out early with the big flush, right? Same thing last game, came out early with the big flush. But he's got to make it. And this is the difference between a player of the year candidate in Janai Broom and a Cheney Johnson who's coming off the bench, who's a solid contributor, is you're going to get a double-double from Janai Broom almost every time he touches the floor. You're going to maybe get a double-double from Cheney Johnson every blue moon, right? And so the consistency of being able to produce when people know you're going to be the guy is the difference. So we'll see. Let's see here. What else do we have? So now y'all hitting somebody with the pause. The reach in, is that what you're talking? The reach in? Y'all pause and reach in? I love the War Report community, dog. Connor Hall says, yes, seems like cramps for DC. Yeah, I think it's mostly cramps. I don't think it's an injury, but I just wonder how he's cramping that much for an entire week. Like, what's going on there? Free throws down the stretch. Geesh. Yeah, you got to make those free throws there. Pet is keeping us afloat, says Chris Stiff. Yeah, Ty Pettiford was huge in this game, especially first half. The first half 15 he had was absolutely monstrous. His ability to score in the lane with either hand was good. Now he missed a bunny at one point in time on a breakaway steal, but and then he missed a couple of free throws. So there were still some moments where, and then like he had a really bad pass ahead to Cheney. So it wasn't flawless in this game, but he definitely played well enough for Auburn to get the dub. Anthony Rudd asks, are we off this week? Yes, they will have a break until next Saturday versus Tennessee. Time to get Dylan Cardwell rehydrated, time to get some rehab in there for everybody, get a little rest. So I think that is going to be good. This is a good time to have an off game before you get Tennessee at home after the two very physical matchups that you just had. Jamal says we are slow reacting. That's my biggest negative on this team. I don't know that we're slow reacting though. Like, I mean, I think they do a really good job for the vast majority of the game. And I don't think they're any worse at reacting than other teams are. So, I mean, their efficiency is high and the defense is playing well. So 68 points for Georgia at home. A team, again, in Georgia that had been averaging over 30 free throws per game in this game shot 20, right? So you did a really good job defensively of defending without fouling and still making it tough for them to score buckets. That's a really good defensive game for this team. Let's see. What else do we have here? Now, this I agree with from Vonnegut, who says it seemed like we weren't finishing uncontested layups at the basket. Got to clean that up. They definitely missed way too many point blank shots in this game. Way too many. So we'll see what happens with that. I didn't see him ask, but maybe he did ask for the plus minus, but we will go to the plus minus because that's usually requested during these. And it amplifies the point that I was making, but there was only positive plus minuses for Tahad here, who was a plus 18, and Dylan, who was a plus 18. Then Chad was a plus 2. Chris Moore was a plus 1. Everybody else had a negative plus minus. And I'll start with the lowest or the highest negative, which is Ja'Kai Howard, which is a minus 1. You had a minus 2 from Cheney Johnson, a minus 3 from Miles Kelly, minus 8 from Jaheim Hudson, which I'm actually shocked by. And this amplifies what I was saying about Denver Jones. Minus 16 on the game for Denver, right? Minus 16 for Denver on the game. He just wasn't effective in the minutes that he was out there on the floor, particularly on the offensive end. And, he needs to play better in this next game if they're going to beat Tennessee for sure. So a lot of things to be able to go back and coach. But again, getting a dub on the road, down your best player, Dylan Cardwell cramps, Jaheim Hudson valiant minutes, Denver Jones not playing well. You got to like where the team is right now. And again, listen, they're going to lose games, guys. They're not going to walk from now into the national championship undefeated. I don't feel like that's going to be a real thing. But I mean, and there are things to critique about this game. I think you just got to be happy you walk out of there again with a close win in Georgia as the number 1 team in the country. You've gone to Georgia 2 times now and gotten a close dub. And that is something to be applauded because I think that this game, especially without your best player, huge win. Looking forward to seeing how they figure out ways to get guys healthy and back in there ready for Tennessee next week. But we are going to be out of here right now. Make sure before you get out of here, though, you like this video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do that. And if y'all aren't sharing the content, man, I want to see 150 something shares of the content, bro. Like, I don't feel like y'all be sharing the content, man. Come on, get out. If you on Twitter, Facebook, share the content with somebody. Tag us so we can see it. But make sure y'all get us locked in with some people so other people can react with us. I appreciate y'all so much. We are out of here. Until the next time. And as always, War Eagle.